And once again, we're joined in the side seats by Bob McKenzie and Ray Ferraro, two of our very best friends at the network. Let's talk about the Western Conference, guys. And we mentioned the Edmonton Oilers, high expectations last year. They crash and burn. Ray, I know you see that team a lot. Any reason for Oiler fans to believe that last year was just a blip on the radar?
Well, I think they'll be better. I think they're going to be in that group of teams we see every year from 7 to 10 that you can either get in with a hot stretch or be out. I've just seen McDavid on TV in the preseason. He looks like he's at a different speed than everybody else. But it's not basketball. One guy can't control the game as much. So is their defense good enough? It's kind of an underwhelming group. Their right wing position is extremely inexperienced. A lot of things have to go right for them, but I don't think they have a year, Bob, like last year.
No, I think they're going to be much better. I think Cam Talbot alone is going to be much better. I got to believe Clefbaum and Larson are going to be better. And I got to believe that, at least one of those kids on the right, Puljujärvi in particular.
Seems like he might be poised for a breakout.
I think he's legit. I think, he kind of lost his way early. We saw him at 16 and 17 years old. Yeah. All he did was shoot the puck and score goals, and I think he can start to do that this year more. So, and with McDavid, I think they're at least a competitive team that'll be in the mix for a wild card.
I watched the season preview show, and I saw a lot of Jets picks to win the Cup. I know you didn't pick them.
No, I picked
Did
Tampa.
You pick
I don't make picks.
Oh, you don't make picks.
They can't get Bob to pick any. He just says, no, I won't do it.
But on the panel, there were a lot of Jets picks.
Yeah, even on the panel, he said no.
Do you see them making the Cup final?
Again, like we talked earlier about things have to go right.
Of course.
So much has to go right. But yes, I mean, they're an outstanding team. Two places I look at them and I wonder a little bit is they lost Paul Stastny to free agency in the summer. So that's a hole that they hope Brian Little can move back up and fill. And the second is their backup goalie position. Laurent Brossoit is going to be the goaltender behind Hellebuck. Hellebuck played 67 times last year. I think it's too much.
Let's talk about Calgary. This is an interesting team because you bring in a new head coach in Bill Peters. You bring in a lot of new players. You sign James Neal. You make the Carolina trade. Goaltending, you wonder how that's going to hold up to you guys. Some people think they'll finish, say, ahead of Edmonton. Do you guys agree on that?
It wouldn't surprise me, but, I mean, I think you're right. I think they had to address they were too much of a pop gun offense. It was too much. If Goodrow and Monahan didn't score, then nobody was going to score on a lot of nights, although, Kachuk's a good player. So they go out and they get Neal. They get Lindholm. They boost their offense all up and down their lineup. And, they changed their defense. They lost offense with Dougie Hamilton going out the door. Yeah. I don't know if Hanifin, I don't know ultimately if they're going to be ahead or behind on defense, to be honest. But the goaltending's a question mark. Smith's got to stay healthy and play all season long as well as he played until February 11th when he got injured last year. And then in his absence, the other guys, Rittich and Gillies and those guys, didn't get the job done to the level they needed to. And when Smith came back, he wasn't good enough. He was 1-6 in his last 7 games.
I thought they were one of the most disappointing teams last year because I thought they were pretty good. And then they did fall apart, Bob, when Smith got hurt. I had them as a playoff team this year. I like their changes. So the coach comes from Carolina, Bill Peters, and they make the trade for Lindholm and Hanifin from Carolina, and then they signed Derek Ryan from Carolina. So there shouldn't be any easing in for those guys. They should know the deal. I think they're a good team.
In Vancouver, the Canucks almost made their head coach Travis Green cry in the preseason.
He seems very sad.
Because he doesn't know where goals are going to come from.
He seems extremely sad.
Is everything okay there?
Travis doesn't cry.
But no, everything's not okay. They're just. This is the biggest problem I have with what the Canucks are, is that, okay, so they're not great. They have 3 difference makers in Elias Pettersson, who's going to be a terrific player, Brock Besser, and Bo Horvat. Then over the last couple of years, they've signed 7 or 8 veterans to longish contracts. So you're either rebuilding or you're not. And they're kind of doing both, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And now they're into Jay Beagle for 4 years, Antoine Roussel for 4 years, Tim Schaller for 2 years. They re-signed Goodbranson for 3 years. They still got a couple of years of Sutter. They just bought, or
put Gagne on
waivers, but still
Gagne.
counts
He's got
against
2
the
more
cap.
years.
Louis Eriksson has
got 3 years
not been a good long-term signing.
It doesn't make
Yeah.
it doesn't
Now
make
Trevor
sense.
Linden's gone. Is there a philosophy thing that maybe starts fresh this year that he thought differently than?
Well, yeah.
You go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, basically, I think Trevor would have wanted to show more patience than ownership was prepared to show.
Fair enough.
And so Trevor's gone. And so to the point, Schaller, Beagle, Roussel, and trying to push along one. And listen, Vancouver's not the only team that does this. The Detroit Red Wings are trying to do it to varying degrees. The Philadelphia Flyers have been trying to do it to varying degrees. It's not entirely uncommon, but it's traditionally not really successful either. So I think there's some pain and suffering coming, but in the meantime, you get excited because Pettersson is otherworldly in terms of his ability.
He looked great in the
Besser should be
preseason.
fantastic,
Yeah.
although he had a bad camp, preseason.
Let's talk about the Golden Knights, the team that your colleague Frank Saravalli picked to win the Stanley Cup this year. Do you guys see a repeat of that success from last season?
I don't. I certainly didn't see it last year. It's funny when those articles started to pop up about did the NHL give them too much of a head start?
Yeah.
Nobody said that when they picked the team. Nobody. They just went,
Yeah, exactly.
oh yeah, it's just 25 guys. And then it was outstanding.
Yeah.
And they're going to miss Nate Schmidt a lot in the first quarter of the season. So that's not a super solid defense. It was kind of like the whole team. The parts all made them better than one individual guy. You take one of the important parts out, and it's a backstep for them. But Stastny and Pacioretty are real nice picks for them.
Yeah.
I don't see the whole thing fitting together. I don't see how it can. That was just too Hollywood movie-ish for last
Absolutely.
year.
See, and I was the guy during the Stanley Cup Finals saying there's no guarantee this team makes the playoffs the next year. Having said that, when I saw how they replaced Perron and Neal with Stastny and Pacioretty, I started looking at it and thinking, maybe they could. But you start to wonder too, can Marc-Andre Fleury be as good, as healthy as he was for much of last season? And even if he's not quite there, then it changes the whole dynamic. So we'll see.
How much better does Erik Karlsson make the Sharks?
Oof, a lot. Quietly, Doug Wilson takes
He's an
some big
amazing
swings
GM.
out there. Like
Yeah.
he
He only signs 8-year deals, too.
and not only does he take big swings, but they really do well with players that aren't drafted, and they bring them in as free agents, and they bottom fill their roster. He's done it for a long time. San Jose went from a pretty good team to a really dangerous team. We're talking about the Leafs power play. What do you think that power play is going to look like out
Crazy.
there?
Well, the simulation that EA Sports did had the Sharks and the Leafs in the Stanley Cup final.
When Mark-Edward Vlasic is your third best defenseman, that's a pretty
And Joe
insane-
Thornton's lighter.
Yeah.
Once they shaved that beard off. Did you see the picture where they had the shavings on a plate?
Yeah.
Like, does it need to be on a plate?
No, it
He,
doesn't.
he took like 15 years off his life. Like in
they're going to
a
give
good
that
way.
to Gritty to eat.
Gritty lunch.
I love that guy. Guys, thanks so much for stopping by.
Awesome to be here,
do you
boys.
want to stick around to the very end of the show? Or?
No.
Okay.